and this again, I didn't know anything about real estate. My intention was buy $1 million worth of property and wait out time. Wait out, and by time I mean 30 years. I was like, buy $1 million worth of property and I could wait 30 years and I'll be a millionaire. And that was my plan. And it was a good plan and it would have worked.
That was my plan too, Scott.
That was my plan. I said, just wait out time. I said, just keep doing what you're doing and wait out time. And eventually this is all going to be worth it.
Sorry, y'all. So I'm thinking to myself getting those, they called them no doc loans, Scott, when I got in the game.
So no, that was a different thing. No doc loans where you were able to get approved with no docs. Non-qualifying assumptions means someone else qualified to get a loan, but they were letting you take it over with nothing. No job, no credit, no pulse, nothing. You just had to make a deal with the seller for whatever the seller wanted out of it, which was next to nothing because there was no appreciation back then. Whatever the seller wanted, as long as you came to an agreement, it was done.
Okay.
And so it's like a sub 2. You guys all know sub 2, right? It was just like a sub 2, but with the bank's blessing. The bank blessed it and put the mortgage in your name, not just like now we get the deed in our name with a sub 2, but the mortgage stays in the seller's name.
Yeah.
This was the same exact thing, only the mortgage also went in your name.
Cool. Okay, so you have those 2 properties. Fast forward, you get an epiphany. I'm going to buy these properties, wait 30 years, I'll be a millionaire by default.
Yep.
Fast forward.
Okay, so fast forward, I got to about 20 properties. Back then it was all Virginia Beach, because again, I moved here in 1992. I wouldn't step outside of Virginia Beach. Even though there was deals everywhere, I was like, well, it said Norfolk, I don't know Norfolk. I would just do Virginia Beach. And so I got to about 20 properties, all Virginia Beach, primarily, if not all, townhouses. And then in 2001, I remember, I think it was Easter, I was driving to my mother's house and I saw a for sale sign and I was trained, as you all probably are, you pass a for sale sign, especially by owner, you call it, right? And so I called, and this lady, and it was a townhouse that I knew the area, I knew the houses, they were all $65,000 back then, and she told me $90,000, and I remember being like, she's out of her mind, what does she think, $90,000? And then I remember the next one I call, and they're like 120, 110, because I don't know if you guys remember, 2001, 2002, 2003, it was ridiculous.
Yep.
And then I started saying, okay, I gotta look into this, maybe 30 years, I don't have to wait 30 years, right? So then I started attending seminars and reading books. Up until then, I didn't read real estate books. I didn't go to seminars. I just was doing my plan to wait 30 years. Then I started reading and learning real estate the way it's taught. And everybody taught and still teaches, except for us, everybody still teaches leverage. They were like, you're stupid. Basically, they didn't say this to my face, but in the book and in the seminars was saying, you're stupid if you have equity. They called it dead equity. They called it dead equity. Your money's not making you any money. You need to pull that money out and buy more houses with it. And I did. I believed it. I said, well, I'm stupid. I must pull all this money out. So I refied everything and I pulled the money out and I bought more houses. And mind you, we're in the boom now. 2002, 3, 4, 5. By 2007, I had 84 houses.
You were taking that debt and acquiring it.
Yep, I was using that money as down payments, getting new mortgages.
Now you got debt on everything.
So now I have 84 houses and I have 84 mortgages. Wow. And I am a huge success in the world's eyes. But I'm bringing in a ton of money every month and I'm paying it out every month, right? And that was all great. I was profiting a lot, probably like $25,000 to $30,000 a month until, and I know the numbers because I still have my sheets, right? Until about mid-2007, and I always tell you, everybody says the bust was 2008, and I'm like, I assure you it was 2007 because I have my QuickBooks to prove it. It all of a sudden went upside down, not just not making my 25 grand a month, but losing $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 a month, every single month. And I had almost $1 million in cash saved. So again, I'm flipping houses at the time, I'm wholesaling, I got all these houses, I'm a superhero, I'm doing great. And then all of a sudden I'm giving it back every single month. I'm giving it all back until there was no money left. And and I always say this, I'm like, can everybody imagine what happened when there was no money left, right? We ended up losing, out of my 84 houses, I lost about 55 of them to foreclosure. 55 of them. And that's hard on anybody. Anybody losing a house to foreclosure is hard, but it's especially hard. I'm driving around in an Escalade with stop foreclosure on the side of it. That was my business. My business was foreclosures. And here I am now. I have 55 of my houses I lost to foreclosure. It was a tough, tough time.
That's terrible, dog.
So
getting foreclosed on, stopping.
Yeah. Well, other people So all my, I want to call them colleagues, competitors, whatever you want to call them, other people in the industry, everybody blew up during the boom, right? Everybody quit their jobs and got into real estate, much like they did recently.
New cars.
Well, most of those people went back to their previous lives. They went back to, they worked at IBM or whatever they did before they decided, I'm going to quit and go do real estate. They still had that skill, they still had that job set, and they went back to their previous life. I didn't have that. I mowed lawns before I got into this, and I now had a lifestyle that was requiring like $300,000 a year, and I'm like, okay, well, if I can't do real estate, what can I do? And I thought, believe me, I had long talks with myself on, okay, if I'm not doing real estate, what can I do? And I came up with, I'd have to be like a surgeon, and and I dropped out of high school in 11th grade. I'm like, they're not gonna hire me for that. I'd have to have some kind of job like that. I'm like,
for the money you're talking.
Yeah, to make that kind of money. I'm like, there's no job I can get that's going to sustain my life. And so we had to figure out real estate. Figure out, okay, some people were still successful. Some people were still making it work. What were they doing different? And that's when I'm like, all right, let me figure out what are these people doing different than what all these other people who went back to their jobs are doing. And that's kind of where we got where we are now.
Wow, that's a deep story.